The Magic Faraway Tree by Enid Blyton. Chapter 10. A few more adventures. Everyone was very pleased to be in the plane because, well, they thought that they could actually now fly away from the land of dreams. After a second or two, Beth leaned over the side of the plane to see how high they were from the ground. She gave a loud cry. "What's the matter?" asked Joe. "Joe, this isn't a plane after all," said Beth in astonishment. "No, it's not. It's a bus. It hasn't got wings anymore, only wheels, and we're sitting on seats at the top of the bus. Well, I did think it was a plane." "Gosh, aren't we flying then?" asked Joe. "No," said Franny, looking out. "Just running down a road." Everyone was silent. They were so disappointed. And then a curious noise was heard. Splishy, splash, 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 splishy, splash, splash, splash. The children looked over the side of the bus and all gave a loud shout of amazement. "Joe, look! The bus is running on water! But it isn't a bus anymore! Oh, look! It's got a sail!" Everyone looked upwards, and there, billowing in the wind, was a great white sail. Joe was now steering with a tiller instead of the handle or a wheel. Well, it was very confusing. "Ah, no, this is definitely the land of dreams, no doubt about that," groaned Joe, wondering whatever the ship would turn into next. "And the awful part is we're awake, and yet, we have to have these dreamlike things happening." An enormous wave splashed over everyone. "Ah!" Franny gave a scream. The ship rocked backwards and forwards, to and fro, and everyone clung tightly to one another. "Oh, let's land somewhere, for goodness sakes," cried Rick. "Heaven knows what this ship will turn into next. A rocking horse, I should think, by the way it's rocking itself backwards and forwards." And guess what? No sooner had Rick said that than it did in fact turn into a rocking horse. And Joe found himself holding on to the horse's mane, and all the others clung tight together behind him. The water disappeared. The rocking horse seemed to be rocking down a long road. "Let's get off!" shouted Joe. "I don't like the way this thing keeps changing. Slip off, Moonface, and help the others down." It wasn't long before they were all standing in the road, feeling very, very confused. The rocking horse went on rocking by itself down the road. As the children watched it, it changed into a large brown bear that scampered on its big paws. "Ha!" said Joe. "We've just got off just in time. Oh, well, what are we going to do now?" Well, a man came down the road at that point, carrying a green-covered tray on his head. He rang a bell. "Muffins, fine muffins," he shouted. "Muffins for sale." "Oh, I really feel as if I could eat a muffin," said Beth. "Hey, muffin man, we'll have 6 muffins, please." The muffin man stopped. He took down his tray from his head and uncovered it. But underneath were not muffins. No. Underneath, there were small kittens. The muffin man seemed to think they were muffins. He handed one to each of the surprised children and one to Moonface and Saucepan. Then he covered up his tray again and went down the road, ringing his bell. "Well, does he think we can eat kittens?" said Beth. Oh, but look, aren't they dear little things? Oh, but what are we going to do with them? Look at them. They seem to be growing," said Joe in surprise. And so they were. In a minute or two, the kittens were very heavy to carry. They were big cats. And they still went on growing, and soon they were as big as tigers. They played around the children, who were really rather afraid of them. "Now listen," said Joe to the enormous kittens. "You belong to the Muffin Man. You go after him and, well, go get on his tray where you belong. Listen, you can still hear his bell. Go on, go along now." To everyone's surprise and delight, the great animals ran off down the road after the Muffin Man. "He will get a surprise," said Rick with a giggle. "Hey, don't let's buy anything else from anyone else. It's a bit too risky." "What we really should do is try to find the hole that leads from this land to the Faraway Tree," said Joe seriously. "Surely, we can't just stay in this peculiar land forever. Gosh, we never know what is going to happen from 1 minute to the next. No, we really must. We've got to find the hole."
"Oh, I feel very sleepy again," said Moonface, yawning. "Oh, I do wish I could go to bed."
Just as he said that, there came a clippity-clop noise behind them. They all turned and, to their amazement, saw a big white bed following them, trotting along on 4 fat legs. "Gosh," said Rick, stopping in surprise. "Look at that bed. Where did it come from?" The bed stopped just by them.
"Oh," Moonface yawned. "Oh, I'd like to cuddle down in you and go to sleep," he said to the bed.
The bed creaked as if it was pleased. Moonface climbed onto it. Oh, it was a soft, cosy bed. He put his head on the pillow and shut his eyes and began to snore very gently. This made everyone else feel tired and sleepy too. One by one, they climbed into the big bed and with one last stretch, lay down. The bed creaked in a very happy way, and then it went on its way again, clippity-clopping on its 4 fat legs, taking the 6 sleepers with it. Now, what had happened to Silky? Well, she had found Dame Washalot, Mr. What's-His-Name, and the Angry Pixie, and had told them how the others had fallen asleep in the land of dreams. "Oh, good heavens! Well, they'll never get away from there," said Dame Washalot anxiously. "Oh, well, we must rescue them. Come along," said Mr. What's-His-Name. Dame Washalot put a wash tub of water on her head. The Angry Pixie picked up a kettle of water. Now, What's-His-Name didn't take anything, and they all went up the ladder to the top of the tree. "Well, the land of dreams is still here," said Silky when her head peeped over the top. I can't see that horrid Sandman anywhere. Oh, now's a good chance to slip up and rescue the others. Come on." Up they went. They stared around the field of poppies, but they couldn't see any of the others. "We must hunt for them," said Silky. Oh, look at that great brown bear rushing along. I wonder if he knows anything about the others." She called out to him, but he didn't stop. Instead, he made a noise a bit like a chicken, and rushed on. The 4 of them wandered on and on. Suddenly they saw something very puzzling coming towards them. Something wide and white. Can you guess what it was? What do you think they might see coming along that was wide and white? "Whatever can it be?" asked Silky in wonder. "Oh, goodness me! It's a bed!" And so it was. In fact, it was the very bed in which the 4 children and Moonface and Saucepan were all asleep in. "Oh, look!" squealed Silky. "They're all here! Oh, wake up, sillies, wake up!" But they wouldn't wake up. They just sighed a little and turned over. Nothing that Silky and the others could do would wake them up. And in the middle of all this, there came footsteps behind them. Silky turned around and gasped.
But it's the Sandman! Oh no! No, it's him! Don't let him throw his sand into your eyes or you'll go to sleep too! Quick, do something!
The Sandman was already dipping his hand into his big sack to throw sand into their eyes. But, quick as lightning, Dame Washalot picked up her wash tub and threw all the water over the sack. It wetted the sand so that the Sandman couldn't throw it properly. Then the angry pixie emptied his kettle all over the Sandman himself, and he began to choke and splutter. What's-his-name stared. He suddenly took out his small pocket scissors and cut a hole in the bottom of the sack. The sand was dry there. What's-his-name took a handful and threw it at the spluttering Sandman's eyes. "Now you go to sleep for a bit," shouted What's-his-name. And of course that is just what the big Sandman did. Oh, he sank down under a bush and shut his eyes. His sleepy sand acted on him as much as anyone else.
"Oh, now we've got a chance," said Silky, pleased. "Help me to wake everyone up."
But you know, they just would not wake up. It was impossible.
"Oh, well, we can't possibly get the bed down the hole," said Silky in despair.
Then a bright idea came to her. She felt in Joe's pockets and turned out the little pink jar of whiz-away ointment.
"There might just be a little left," she said.
And there was, the very tiniest dab.
"Oh, I hope it's enough," said Silky. "Get on the bed, Dame Washalot and the others. I'm going to try a little magic. Ready?"
She dabbed the ointment onto the head of the bed.
"Whiz away home, bed," she said.
And wow, that big white bed whizzed away. It whizzed away so fast that Silky nearly fell off, and it rushed through the air, giving all the birds a dreadful scare. After a long time, it came to the end of the land of dreams. A big white cloud stretched out to the edge. The bed flew through it, down and down. Then it flew in another direction.
"It's going to the Faraway Tree, I'm sure," said Silky.
And so it was. It arrived there and tried to get through the branches. It stuck on one and slid sideways. Oh no, everyone began to slide off.
"Wake up,
squealed Silky, shaking the children of Moonface and Saucepan. They woke up in a hurry as they were no longer in dreamland, and they felt themselves falling and caught hold of the branches and twigs. "Where are we?" cried Rip. "What has happened?"
"Oh, goodness, too many things to tell you all at once," said Silky. "Is everyone safe? Oh, are you all holding on? Well, then for goodness sakes, pull yourselves up and come into my house and sit down for a bit.
When they were all up, she looked at them.
"I really feel quite out of breath."
And that is the end of that chapter. So, oh my gosh, they've made it back to the Faraway Tree, and on a bed no less. And what's going to happen to the bed now? Where do you think that's going to go? Will it stay stuck in the branches? Will it fly itself back to the land of dreams? And what do you think the children are going to be thinking about and talking about now? Do you think they'll remember the dreams they had? Do you remember the dreams you have? Okay, well, we'll see what happens, and we'll see if they manage to then get home afterwards, or whether they might in fact be pulled up to another land. Who knows with those children? But we'll find out tomorrow. Bye-bye.